Welcome to today's episode of Speak Greasy. You've either been living under a rock or in another city if you still haven't been to the coastal Deccan restaurant Curry Apla in Bombay's very own Bandra neighborhood. Today, I have the dynamic duo behind it, Ivani Tiwari and Matthew Verghese, and they're here to talk about this amazing journey that they've had to get their delicious food to us right here in Mumbai. Welcome to the show, guys. It's so good to have you here.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to start at the very beginning with you. With both of you. You're both IHM graduates. Is that where you met, by the way?
No,
Oh,
we met at Taj actually when I was working, and then
I was doing my industrial training.
she came for an internship.
so wait, she was your boss?
No.
Oh no, you were her.
I was not her boss.
We just work together.
We didn't work together at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
We're
where
working
did you
together
meet?
for the first time over here in Karyabla. But I was just working in the hotel. So, and then she had come from an internship. So that is where we met the first time.
Yeah.
It's a different thing that we got together very later on in
Much
life.
yeah.
But yeah,
Okay, so you both went to IHM, and I just want to sort of, start with the culinary education part of it. You finished at IHM and went straight to
Yeah,
Le
so I
Cordon Bleu.
graduated and then I went to Le Cordon Bleu in London. And I did the Grand Diploma, which was cuisine and pastry.
So that's a 1-year program,
It's like 10 months almost.
right? And
And I wanted to get done with it before I started work because I figured that, once you start working, you're not going to be able to step out and, that you lose a little bit of time.
yeah, then
and
you get
lose a
like
little
you
bit
get
of-
into work, and then
yeah,
you're just
that pattern breaks. So I was like, let's just get done with all your padhai right in the beginning. So I went and did that.
So
Really
I want to
enjoyed it.
understand this bit about the padhai. Like, is it really required to? Did you feel after going to IHM, with no offense to IHM, but like, did you really feel that there was something missing and you wanted to enhance that part of the training by going to an LCB?
More than anything, I was hoping that I would also be able to work there a little bit because more than anything, you get to see how work happens in this was in London, so maybe I was hoping that we'd be able to get some part-time work somewhere or something like that, see what's going on because we're not exposed to as much as there is going on, and this was before Instagram became so popular. Now you can sit here and
So did you end up like
See,
stajing
no, so
or working in?
I got my visa, and the week before I flew, they changed the immigration rules. So students
Murphy's
weren't,
Law.
so students weren't allowed to work. So
Wow.
then
So not even as part of your
no
the
part
diploma?
time, no part time, no internship, no unpaid work. So then I was like, okay. And then all I could do was maybe work with events that were happening on campus. So I volunteered and did all the events there. So that was great because they used to call chefs from the industry. You could assist them,
Free labor.
And this was all French food. So a lot of techniques that you got to see, which, I haven't honestly done any of that here while I've been working.
No, but was it very different from what you had done at IHM? Like, would you recommend this to somebody who?
IHM per se is a very broad course for hospitality.
Yeah.
So you study the basics of everything,
Every
of
department.
housekeeping, front office, culinary, food and service.
Even if you want to
F&B.
specialize in
Yeah.
the kitchen.
Because
I don't think there's specialization in IHM per se.
there's no special.
It's a very broad course, and then post that is what she went, for specifically for food production and culinary.
So it was to get a more in-depth kind of training in that
absolutely.
aspect of,
Yeah.
of the wider sort of base that
Yeah.
you had, foundation that you had.
Yes.
Okay, so then you came back and you
So then
joined the
obviously we had to
Taj.
come back. No, so I came back and then I applied to a whole bunch of places and
I thought
finally-
after IHM, it's like rites of passage to Taj.
No.
I didn't get campus placement for that. Neither of us did actually. So I came back and Chef Kelvin was the opening bastion that time. So I reached out to him and I think they had opened a month or two before that. And I went, I did a trial. And that time it was just like, we had just started doing dinner. They didn't have brunch, they didn't have lunch. And I went in, did a trial for Chef Boo and Chef Kelvin. And they said, okay, come on, Moose. I went in, started there. Worked there for like 2 years. That was great. I think starting my career with bosses like that was like, it was a blessing because they were so open to any kind of ideas, any kind of experimentation. Like, they would come into work, give you a bunch of ingredients, go do this, go do that, let's try a new dish. And the best part was that they changed menus so often that we were constantly on our toes.
So how long were you there before? And then
And-
what happened?
So I was there. I was there for around 2 years, a little over 2 years. And then I went to Taj because I thought, okay, now I've done restaurants, now I should do hotels. Then I went to Taj and
It's usually the other way around for
yeah,
most chefs.
he was like that. I
Yeah.
did it the other way around. So I went to hotels. And then from there, I went back to Bouchef in an R&D role. And that was when he was opening Dirty Buns in Kamla Mills. And he also went back to Bastion that time. And
You know, we used to supply the steam buns from
Yes.
Mac Street to Dirty Buns.
the-
I remember
the,
this.
the
Oh my
hot dog
God.
rolls and the steam buns.
Yeah. This is where it happened, by the way, in case you were wondering.
No, but those were such good breads and those lobster rolls and everything used to be made in those buns. And then from there, I was doing R&D and then COVID happened. And then we got married. So I moved to Gurgaon and then I was freelancing for a bit. And then after we moved back from Gurgaon, we started Curry Apla.
Okay, so we'll pause there before you started and tell us your journey.
I joined Taj as a commie. And
That's in
uh,
Bombay itself.
Yeah, in Bandra, in Land's End. So that's where I started my career. I worked a good 3.5 years over there, and then I applied again as an internal candidate for their management training program, which I got.
Oh, so
through.
those 3 years were not part of their management training.
No, no,
That
no,
was
no. It was
a-
like a commie job, you know.
Okay.
I worked 2 years as a commie, then I became a DCDP. I was a DCDP for 1 year. We opened the Chambers kitchen right on the top 25th floor in 2011. So I was a part of that team. And I went on to also, for a very brief period of time, there was no head chef also. So I was running that kitchen as a DCDP. And then in 2014, I got into the management training program as an internal candidate. So for 2 years, then I was traveling to multiple properties of the Taj as a management trainee. I went to Bangalore.
So that's what the program is, that you get
Yeah.
kind of, you spend 6
You
months in
spend
different-
6 months in multiple kitchens, and you train under different chefs in different cuisines, and you're constantly cooking, constantly, giving food trials, constantly learning, doing outdoor caterings, doing everything that you can do in the kitchen. And then finally, I got posted in this restaurant called the Orient Express in Taj Palace in New Delhi. It's a very good restaurant. So yeah, I had that kitchen.
So you were with the Taj for a good 7-8 years.
I was at Taj for 8.5 years,
Wow.
I think, yeah. And but I was blessed in a way that I got to work in so many properties of the Taj. Over a span of 8.5 years, I think I worked in 8 properties. And then somebody asked me to try restaurants. So then so then I just sent out one message to multiple chefs, and then Chef Manish replied saying that come and meet me at that point of time. And he was saying it's like a plan for like a 500-600 cover a day. And I was like, I was really confused. I was wondering whether we are going in for a banqueting this thing. So I asked him, and he said, "Hey, Babu, it's like it's a restaurant." I was like, wow, 500-600 covers. Because I came from Orient Express where we did, maybe 30 covers
a day?
but a day, but
Wow.
it was like an
Only
8,000 APC. We opened only for dinner, and it's like an APC of 8,000 rupees, only food.
Wow.
So that is where I came from, and like going from that to 600 covers a day was a big jump. So in 2018, in December 5th, we opened Cormoran. That's been one crazy ride.
In what way?
Like Cormoran is a different ball game altogether, because there was Chef Dheeraj right on the top, and below Chef Dheeraj there was Chef Gaurav, who's now heading Bombay Canteen, and me as his sous chefs, and both of us were unmarried at that time, and
So they
we
took
were
full
like,
advantage.
we were like,
they lived at the
we
restaurant.
lived at the restaurant. We used to go in at 4:30 in the morning just to do butchery. We actually, in Cormoran, we actually did 400 to 600 covers a day. And to be doing that from that kitchen, it was non-stop. That kitchen was non-stop. And the energy you require to be in that kitchen is a different ball game altogether. Like coming from hotels where everything is so SOPs are already in place, and going into this vertical where there were some days in the morning I used to go to multiple milk shops and be carrying, just buying out all the milk from the shops, because we had the chini malai toast. And in last
You could
night's
never have
service,
enough milk.
in last night's service, the malai just got over. So there's no milk, there's no malai, nothing. So I used to, on my bullet, I literally felt like a milkman, getting everybody's milk. And I used to go to the restaurant in the morning with 40 liters of milk in the morning, and just like
In bag.
immediately, that time I had one of those,
You're like,
those
oh, balo abhi.
Abhi Turant. And then, so that is the kind of this thing, we didn't, we had to purchase from our own pockets and think about getting the money later on. So that is the kind of, the vibe that we had. And I think Cormoran was so busy that the first couple of years, we didn't even realize what happened, like it just went by so fast.
I mean, it's one of the top restaurants in the country.
It is.
By the way, Chef Dheeraj cooked here in our first year of operations when he was with Indian Accent, and they did a pop-up. So lots of fond memories with him. But yeah, he's a great, great chef. And
Yes.
leader. Yeah.
So that Cormoran ride was insane. And
So you were there until when?
I was there. I was a part of Cormoran till 2023.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay,
that's when
pretty much right up to
up to
okay.
last year. Yeah, so by 2023, I was heading the kitchen, and and that time we were doing around 600 covers a day. We had a very lean staff. We had 18 people in the kitchen. We had.
I hope our chef is listening to this so that we can maybe
yeah, it was a very lean team that time.
become a little more efficient in our kitchen.
So. Yeah, and then I think at that point of time, we were doing a food sale of maybe 1.5 CR easily.
Wow.
So yeah, Cormoran was a very different ball game, but
it sounds like a lot of what you were doing, like these these instances of like buying whatever you needed to yourself, and it's kind of like almost like a great teaser into what running your own business
oh
is
yes,
like.
yes.
We've done that as well. Like I've had to like carry cutlery back, and literally like my arms have fallen off, and I haven't been able to move for like a week after. But you do what you have to do, right?
Yes,
like
yes. And I think, that is why Cormoran is where it is right now.
Just coming back to a couple of things you mentioned, which sort of stuck with me, and I'm saying this from the other side as a, business owner, and, get a lot of CVs and things. And, you said that you sent out like a blast to pretty much everyone and sort of saw what stuck. Is that an approach that you sort of recommend or feel is okay, being 8 years into the kitchen? Where do you think at some point you should have an idea of the cuisine that you want to work in? Or is it more about, the cuisine is just a catalyst for actually basically being in the kitchen?
Even when we are now recruiting, we actually look at the attitude of the person.
Yeah.
That is the most important. The person has to have a positive attitude, has to match your wavelength. They have to, that eagerness to learn has to be there.
Openness and eagerness.
That eagerness to try new things out. That's why even over here at our restaurant also, we are constantly doing new things. We are just...
No, but do you not feel like having, I mean, again, not necessarily with your own restaurant, but like with wherever you work, that having technical knowledge of a specific cuisine is important, or not so much?
See, before I went to Cormoran, I didn't have that much, like, to be a sous chef of an Indian restaurant. I didn't have the required experience. I had an experience. I had the experience of a sous chef, but not in Indian cuisine.
Yeah.
Okay. I spent all my life in European kitchens, but I did spend some time in Indian kitchens, so I know the basics. But I think if you're doing an Indian, if you are an Indian, like if you are an Indian, you will know Indian flavors, right? So I think that much, if you can understand Indian flavors, then you
pick it up.
Yeah, you'll pick it up easily. Like I've told her also, like, had I not joined Cormoran in the beginning, I don't think I would have survived it, because Yeah.
To be thrown into that kitchen is
Thrown into that kind of a setup in the middle, it's a bit scary. It's a bit overwhelming. But yeah, because I was there since the beginning, and we actually set it up and got the ball rolling. That is why I was able to survive that whole. I eased into those operations, so
You're responsible for the
yeah.
scariness.
yeah. So I know, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But like, yeah, I understand that, you kind of set it up from the ground up. And so you kind of were prepared in a way for
Yeah,
what was
yes.
to come rather than thrown into a deep end.
Yes.
But okay, tell us how this idea of going from, working for someone or that sort of, to having your own restaurant started bubbling.
As a chef, and I think both of us also, it has always been
It's been something we
goal.
always wanted to do.
It's always a goal to मेरे को अपना खुद का कुछ करना है, further on in it's a goal you have, I am sure everybody has it, but whether you get to that goal or not, that is the question.
What was that epiphany that you had that you felt we're ready?
The idea of Karyapla started during the lockdown. I was stuck in Gurgaon. She was here in Bombay.
By the way, where did you meet then? Since you were clearly not
In London.
Oh, in Lansing. And then you all went and did your own thing anyway. Yeah, okay.
We did our own thing all over the place. We had our own we were like separate lives. So yeah, then when we find this, after we finally got together, and then we were still in different.
We were actually getting married
We were-
in 2020 and
and then the
that
lockdown
got
happened.
canned because of the lockdown.
So then, this was a way of us to keep ourselves occupied and, keep sane during the lockdown. So we started,
So
just.
what was happening at like Comorin during the lockdown?
Nothing,
not
we were
doing
shut.
Oh,
This
so you were
was
not doing
like-
deliveries and all of that.
No.
This was like
It was
just
the
from-
first lockdown.
This was
Yeah.
March to like June when like nobody was doing anything. Everybody was like sitting at home.
Wow.
Yeah,
This was like those 3 months.
those
that,
3 months. Yeah.
and he was alone in an apartment in Gurgaon that he used to share with like,
I used to stay in a 4 BHK, a very big 4 BHK.
and on all the
I had
other
my own bed.
flatmates had gone.
They all.
And he was
left,
stuck,
and
like-
I was all alone in that 4
That
BHK.
sounds a little scary and creepy.
It's
good.
very big. It was so yeah, I needed a lot of things, so she kept me company. We started, penning down ideas of dishes that.
So that's when the idea started brewing.
Yes, that is when the idea started brewing, and that is where the first draft of the menu came to life.
We just wrote
It's
it.
like 4 years before you actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a long.
It was 4 years.
It was a long-term plan.
It was a
nothing
long-term
we wanted
plan.
to
This
do
was
at
not
this
something
stage.
that we wanted to do immediately. This was like, we want to do a restaurant, but let's just start thinking.
Did
and-
you know that you wanted to do it in Bombay though? That was like something that you.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
because
one base basically because I'm from Bombay.
so see, for us, we're a young couple also. The moment family also starts, then you need one set of parents also to take care of. Because if you are a chef and you are owning a
That I
business,
can
you are never going to.
vouch for.
You are
yes.
never going to have
Yeah.
time to take care of that third one. But yeah, so that is why keeping all this in mind, that is why we.
You're like really proper forward planners. I love it. Unlike any of us who are just like going where the wind blows. I love the foresight. So that's amazing.
That's why we started in this thing in Bombay. One set of parents are there. We have that this thing that one support system also there.
He also he worked here, he went to college here, so we both knew a lot.
Yeah.
We had a friend, like
It wasn't an
friends
alien
and family.
city
place
for
for
us.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have a sense of like how much you might need to set up a restaurant? Or was this all like, did this process really start besides the menu planning after you moved?
So that process, I
There was like
there was
a
a
ballpark.
ballpark figure. But
How did you have that idea of a ballpark?
see,
And I'm really like drilling in because I think this is an important lesson firsthand.
We were looking at rentals online,
rental.
all your Magic Bricks and your property websites and stuff. We were checking out commercial space rentals, approximately which area and
So in
how
different
much-
areas, different parts of Bombay, we got very brief. We got a vague ballpark figure of how much, So just to get a restaurant started, you need 8 months of rent, 6 months of security deposit, 1 month of brokerage, and 1 month first month rent.
Oh, I was like 8 months of like running expense.
No, no,
because
no.
it's also like yeah.
Just
No, I know, but also working cap because everyone thinks you're going to be making like money and enough money from day one, and that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen.
But you're right, like 6 months deposit, 1 month brokerage.
Yeah, so that is required just to start.
And
So
then
know
the
that.
months that you're not going to earn while you're still doing it up because no one ever manages to do it in
And
rent
then,
free fit
then
out period.
we were sending out quotations to different people for the
Equipment.
So we got different quotations, we got different figures. So like that, we kind of generated a ballpark figure of this thing. Did we overshoot it? Yes, we overshot it a bit.
Always.
That always happens, but yeah.
I'm
yeah,
like, make your budget or whatever based on your estimate, based on all this proper information gathering, and then double it. Yeah.
No, but we didn't double it, but but it just went a bit over the same. But it was good. It was within our means, and it. Funny enough for us, it was like we actually started the whole process of looking for spaces from Warsaw, and
on the Andheri side.
Andheri side. Then we went to DN Nagar. Then from DN Nagar we went to Juhu, Santa Cruz, and then we came to
And
Bandra.
And it was only because everybody had scared us into thinking that Bandra and
It's gonna be so expensive. No, Warsaw is cheaper than Bandra is cheaper than Warsaw.
What? Okay,
Yeah,
fun
but so,
fact. I mean, maybe not so fun. Fun.
But
Otherwise,
for
only the
us,
fact.
we got a space cheaper in Bandra as compared to Warsaw and Andheri. Andheri is, I think,
Andheri is
it's
very
500 per square foot, and Bandra I think is anywhere between 450 to 500 rupees per square foot.
I need your broker's number. But no, I mean, okay, I mean, that sounds like a very like methodical approach. And
but that was also
But that was a whole process.
a 4-month process.
We met multiple people. There are instances where we went with our checkbook to give a token amount, and then we learned some really hideous things about the owners. And that whole process of meeting different people from different walks of life,
can I tell you a
trying to
really
scam
crazy
different
story
ways.
that happened to us? Is one of the first spaces that I think it signed an MOU, or we'd given the token. And then the next day, and Jay at that point was shuffling between San Francisco and Bombay, and he was in San Francisco. I had signed the check, given it, whatever. And the next day in the papers, I read about a certain minister shooting his son. And I was like, this name sounds really familiar. And then I was like, that's the name I've written the check to. And instantly I had to go and, cancel the check. And, because we were just like, okay, this guy just murdered his son and we are definitely not signing this property. So I totally get you on, meeting all kinds of characters and.
That's what I told. You used to joke about it that time that यार कुछ वो ना हो हमारे पास इतना कहानी है हम किताब लिख सकते हैं.
हमने लिखी है तो आप. We had exactly the same thought, so I'm pretty sure you'll get there. You'll collect enough stories for a book for sure one day.
But it was good. And then working with people also, people. I think in many because also we were a small setup. People were apprehensive about working with us because we were also first timers in this game, and they were very apprehensive about working in a small space. Now, to come to think of it, I think that they don't
You mean
know.
people who were going to work with you, or like
with,
potential landlords and
if
things?
This thing, people
design your
Right. Like your equipment, basically. Like they
Equipment.
wouldn't take you seriously, you mean?
Like the first meeting we went to, one old uncle who was the proprietor of the business. He saw the layout. He said, he's telling me in Marathi कि इसको fold करके रख दो आप दूसरा जगह
Means the landlord of the
कुछ
space.
नहीं होगा.
No, he's told us go get a bigger space and come back to me.
The man who runs the company that makes all your equipment and stuff. He's telling me this is too small. We can't do anything here.
And finally, when we went to plan the kitchen also, the people found a very difficult time planning the kitchen also. And you've seen it, right? But we went into researching, places, kitchens with the same set of problems, high rental, less area. No, so it's all New York, London, Tokyo, all these high rental, less area. You know how to plan your kitchen accordingly. So that is what we did our R&D, and then we kind of, set up. We used to show them, how restaurants are set up.
Setting them in
Or you had to like convince them to sell you the equipment and to
the
do your
boy who
setup.
was designing the AutoCAD for the layout. We were sending him links on Instagram.
I
Look
mean,
at this.
it's like, dude,
Look at
this is my business. You just do what I'm telling you and give me the drawings. That's how it should be. And
Because these guys all work with hotels where there's ample
Yeah.
and more space.
There's so much space. There's
So
so
you have like free reign to put whatever they want where.
listen, people were not even happy when they were designing this kitchen. Okay, so it's like you'll never satisfy a kitchen consultant ever.
So like for our space, it's so small that if you want to introduce a new piece of machinery, one thing has to
come
go.
out.
We
There's no two ways about that. And even in terms of recruiting, because we are a small space, your small budget, small payroll budget also, the kind of you can't really, go for people with a lot of experience with higher, who will expect a higher salary. So we went to the YMCA in
Colaba?
YWCA, YMCA. We went approach them also to send students. So when we started initially we had a couple of students from who passed out from YMCA, YWCA working with us.
What about your IHMs and all? Or
Oh,
they've
we-
got like bigger,
we've
grander
got a-
plans?
we actually what happened for us is that when we started in October, that was a batch was still going on. So when when they finally graduated in June this year, we got
Right.
some stuff from there as
Yeah.
well.
But again, see, that people from IHM also, they will expect a larger pay package because, see, we cannot match the pay packages that
Hotels,
hotels
everything.
are giving nowadays. At that point of time, we were also very involved in kitchen and cooking, and we slowly over the year we have now built a kitchen team for the restaurant. With the six kids who are very nice, who match our wavelengths. That is the most important for us, matching the
They're all
wavelengths, having a good attitude.
Yeah.
Who are all enthusiastic. They are very passionate about food, and they are very passionate about trying new things also. So every time we have a group on Instagram also. So wherever we see something new, we're always sending it out. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. So it's on a slow evening, we'll maybe try one recipe, try two recipes. So
Yeah.
and I in the past 1 year, we've tried so many recipes. I don't think I've done so many recipes in a span of 1 year. So yeah, it's been
Okay, and then how long? So from the time you sign the space to the time you finally open doors, like how long
75
did
days.
that take? What?
75
Okay, I'm
days.
bringing you on to like open my next place
75
because first of all, there's no next
There was-
place. I just want to set the record.
75 days was also like
It was insane.
it would have taken
Yeah.
longer, but we were just like
See, because that
so impatient because we were wasting time. We were like, we need to start before season starts.
that time of the year also it was monsoons. So during monsoons, work
Yeah, because you
happening
opened October, so that
Yeah.
would have been like
so our
July,
construction
August,
started
September.
in July.
July, and
Peak rate.
monsoons.
At least you'll know when there are leakages, where there are leakages. So
Yeah, that was a plus point. And then, paint takes time to dry. Everything was taking a bit more longer. And because it's such a compact place, only one team can work at a time. The bigger the space, you can have multiple teams working simultaneously. But because it's a small space, only one team could work at a time. So, and there was this whole thing of we couldn't, have work going on 24/7. It was only daytime work happening there.
and then you had the joys of going through the licensing process because
That
of
was
course this was
happening
No,
not
yeah, but
a.
having that
production.
was happening
Side
all
by
at the
side.
same time. It was.
What was that fun experience like?
It was fun.
It was eye-opening.
It was eye-opening. Yes. But we had somebody who helped us with it, so that is mandatory, I think, for
Yeah, you need
opening
someone to
doing
help.
licenses. Yeah,
It helps that you speak Marathi, guys. And that you're
yeah,
a
it
woman.
does. But
You know,
It
I don't
helps.
speak Marathi, but Jay used to just like throw me into these like meetings and offices because he's like, they'll be nicer if you're sitting there. And I'm like, you're completely abusing my presence and gender, but sure, I'll do it. So,
no, even
yeah.
we did
We
go
did.
for it. But I think that conversation did not happen, I think.
But whenever they would come in for like visits and stuff, you have to.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think Marathi in Bombay is a life skill that,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think it's you're one of us types, Yeah. So maybe you will get off a bit easy. For us, because I think because we were chefs, everything that was not related to the kitchen, setting up
the front of house. Yeah.
the front of house.
So did you have somebody that you brought into the team who kind of knew about this, or was it pretty
No,
much something you set
it
up
was
as
only
well?
us. We learned how to operate the POS system the day off first.
I have to be
Service.
taught how to use the card machine. So just like simple
Just
shit like
collecting a
this that
payment,
never
how
done before.
how you
Always
operate
in the
that.
kitchen.
So in the first lunch service, a couple of my the kids who worked with me at Cormorant, they went on to open one kitchen in Nasik. So they came enthusiastically. They came for our.
Came at
They came at 11:30. We opened at
At
12,
12.
and
We realized we don't know how to
you
use.
don't know how to use
Wait.
the POS. So then I told them, "Bhai, come, batao."
Oh, he was punching in orders.
We were punching in orders and then going back and eating, and that's how we learned.
He was like, go punch your own order. Yeah.
For us, it has been a very hands-on learning. It's been a very, every day has been a learning for us. The past 1 year has been just a learning curve for us in the aspects of running a restaurant, running a business every day.
And you're open like lunch and dinner 6 days a week?
So now,
yeah.
now 6 days. Before we used to be open through the day.
Through the
But
day.
now we've
But now we're taking a little bit of a break in the afternoons on weekdays so that the team also has some time to prep and they get a little bit of a break. But Saturday, Sunday, we've realized is a day you have to be open all day because people pop in to eat lunch at any time. So weekdays there's a bit of a break.
So tell us a little bit about the food.
The food we're doing is basically food that we've grown up eating or we've,
First of all,
eaten.
from what I've read, you've grown up all over the country. So you are technically from Kerala, but
Yes,
grew up in
but I
Calcutta.
grew up in Calcutta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are...
I'm from Bombay,
You're Maharashtra from
but my
Bombay.
family is a full cocktail. So we've grown up eating a lot of different food.
So what is then the food that you've grown up eating?
So my mum is half Goan, half Maharashtrian now. And Goan, she's from Karwar, basically. And my dad is a Tiwari from UB, but they didn't live in UB. They he studied in Asansol, which is again in Bengal. So he grew up eating a lot of Bengali food. And then they retired and moved to Pune. So then they ate, again, local food. But my great-grandparents were from Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh. So they were Pandays who used to live there. So they all grew up eating like puliodarai and rasam rice and, the
Halim and biryani.
yeah, the biryanis and stuff. And it was, the staple food was weirdly enough all Andhra food. So the foundation for our food was all these things, So there's all these recipes that
Yeah.
keep coming from everywhere. And
That's
we
amazing.
try to put
Yeah.
a little, we make it more restaurant friendly because you can't make everything the way we make it at home. But that is basically what the food is.
So that's your food, and what you've been like east, west, everywhere, south.
So we grew up in a very, close-knit community. There used to be once a year we used to have a fair where, all the aunties used to get together, cook. All the uncles used to get to cook.
So even though
Onam
you
used
were
to be-
eating you were growing up in Calcutta, the food was predominantly like Kerala.
Yeah, it was Kerala food also. But we used to, when we are not eating at home, we used to be eating Bengali food this way. And it has a very nice Mughlai influence also.
Awadhi and
yeah.
that.
So that Calcutta is also a very good hotspot for street food and local eating. The Chinese of
Tangra, yeah, Tangra, yeah.
there. So I grew up with a lot of food around me, and this is one thing that both our families are very passionate about is food.
Is that what led you both to going first of all to IHM?
I was always crazy about food. So
Yeah. And I, for me personally, I wanted to, go do something beyond
Engineering?
beyond engineering and accounts, which all Mallu men are known to do. But I want to do something different, and I'm very fidgety. I can't
Tactile.
yeah, I'm very I can't sit in a place for too long. So I wanted to do something like that. And plus, there was one chef in my church who used to, at that point of time, he used to head Hot Breads. Hot Breads was his brand back in the day in I think the eastern part of India. It was Chennai and Calcutta. It's very good quality bakery stuff. So I think he might have influenced me at some point to take this up as a career.
And all of this now has found its way, all this nostalgia has found its way into
Yes,
Karyapla.
in Karyapla. So whatever we do at Karyapla in terms of food, it does have a nostalgic element to it. The flavor profile. That is what we want to keep as authentic as possible. But then we play around with how the food is presented. In a more fun way, a more
Approachable.
it's
Yeah.
more the thing. The problem with Indian food is back in the day it was very flatter to plate kind of service thing. But over here it comes in a bowl. You eat out of it. You are having a papad with a thitsa. Now it's not only us who bring dishes to the menu. Our team also brings dishes to the menu.
So like every Monday we're closed, and we try to tell them, step out of home, don't keep like bumming, go eat something different. And every Tuesday we ask them, what did you do? What did you eat? So now they're like very enthused about it, so they'll go eat something local, and we've added quite a few things to the menu that they've eaten and come back and made for us. So now there's some other stuff that's in the works for the next round of menus, which again they've eaten somewhere.
But that's honestly how, even for us, where, I mean, of course, our menu is pretty cuisine agnostic at the table, but the only contribution Jay and I have to the menu is from our travels and things that
Yeah.
we've had, or ingredients that we end up like filling our suitcase with, knowing like bugger
Yeah.
all about how to like cook with them or what to do, but we're just like, let the
Let's
chefs
just
figure it
figure it
out. And but it is that you get inspiration from everywhere, and that's the fun thing about firstly having your own place and being the master of your own menu in a way.
And plus, it might not be, even if you eat somewhere and you eat something, you eat a dish, you might not, find inspiration in the whole dish. You might just find inspiration in one element of that dish also. वो इच्छा होना चाहिए, just to be able to want to do something
To try.
and want to try something and want to, replicate it or find inspiration in something. That has to be inbuilt and inbred. That is the kind of, that is what we look for in people.
So, okay, this sounds amazing. It sounds like it's been a great ride.
We're still very hands-on where required, but then now we want, slowly and steadily, we want the other kids also to start taking up more responsibilities and, running it independent. At least the kitchen aspect of
Like
it, we want them to
Like-
run it.
earlier, we would do things like we would make the handover lists for the next day. We would make the prep list for the next morning shift. But now we've, let them.
I think that's really important, again, as someone who, on the business side, I mean, one of my biggest learnings over the years has been that in order for you to do other things, you have to start
Stepping
grooming
out.
other people. You
Yeah.
have to start training them. You have to allow them to make those mistakes, because otherwise you'll just end up doing it, and you have to stop being a control freak, at some point, which is very tough
That's
when
very
you have your
difficult
own business. And it's so important to do that. And I think you guys are, you hit it spot on, because that's the, that's the only way you can dream bigger as well. But I again, just when I'm listening to you saying this thing about like working these crazy hours and doing everything, whatever is needed. We opened Mac Street in Bandra about in end of Jan, and this was our first foray into Bandra, right? Into your neighborhood. And I didn't know what to expect, but it was crazy, which, I think pretty much anything that opens there has this crazy. And I still remember that the first weekend, I'd go in the morning because I'm like, I should be there when it opens, and I think till, I don't know what time at night, for 12 hours, I was on my feet, running around, like folding napkins, because it was a tsunami in there. And I wanted to like just die at the end of that shift. It wasn't even a shift. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, what just happened? But this is the thing. I honestly, I mean, I didn't have to do it after that because things like settled down, and also I was dead. I was like, I can't do this the next day. But like, for the first week, I was pretty much in there every day till things streamline. And I don't know when that stops, and if it ever does, when you're sort of this when you have that entrepreneur kind of thing, and each baby that you kind of birth in a way is something that you have to go through that, and it doesn't sort of, it's not like, oh, it's only the first restaurant, and then you have like
God, all
an army that takes care of it. I mean, of course you do, and you get better at it with time, but like the little things that you see, and you're like, this doesn't work, or this whatever, it only can happen when you're there and you're sort of seeing it kind of play out, is when you realize a lot of things that need to be fixed or changed, or you kind of go through the motions yourself. That doesn't ever change, I think.
It's like having a kid, no? If you're not there for it in the initial years of its life, you can only straighten a tree when it's young, right? You can't straighten a crooked tree. So that's why, laying out the foundations of a restaurant and being there with it in its initial 2-3 years is very important, so that, you have to get the ball rolling so that it can one day, post that period, be on its own.
Have you ever had those moments where you're like, why did we do this? And
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, we had that.
it's like getting your period. But like,
Yeah.
it's that time of the month. Yeah.
It's just like on days when you feel like there's more than like one or two things that have gone wrong, and you're like,
Okay.
why did we decide to do
You
this?
will get more and more thick skin. I mean, it's not a nice feeling. I remember when any guest sort of, gave us sort of critical feedback,
really-
or not even critical feedback, just like shouted at
That
us
honestly,
about
I
something.
still have
Yeah.
some. I
Sleepless
still can't
nights.
get used to it because
Yeah.
I feel like people are very quick to just
Judge,
write really mean things.
opine. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it'll be a lot more difficult for someone to write nice things than a bad thing that will go on a Google review. And it's just
Listen, we still get it. Okay, so
it
it
still
still
hurts.
happens,
At
and
the
I
end-
think
At the end of the day, see, this is hospitality, right? We've opened a restaurant for the sole purpose of feeding people and being hospitable to people. But then there are certain times when we also, as human beings, we falter. We are not able to maybe live up to their expectations. But they don't understand our side of it. So they might take it in a different way and feel offended. So that at that point of time, there are, there are instances that people have posted things and said things that, and we've had to, do some kind of damage control. And, in the initial time, we did not take reservations because we were such a small place. Then people were saying that, y'all don't take reservations, we will not come. They were very apprehensive about stepping out without reservations. So then we started taking reservations. Now sometimes people make reservations and don't show up,
Yeah.
and then we turn people away because we already have reservations.
So we
then
lost out on two.
Then we started losing out on.
but a
business
lot
like
of
that also.
restaurants have started charging when people do that for that, and especially because you guys are a small
so-
setup, right?
Actually, for the Onam Sadhya that we did just now, we did it as a paid event because we wanted to be confirmed how many quantities we are cooking for, right? But we lost out on people there also because people said, "Oh, but why does it have to be a full advance?" So you have to explain
So yeah,
then you can't convince everyone.
yeah, like taking that advance also is people think, oh,
You
they're
don't
too
trust
big for
us.
they're too big for the
Yeah.
boots types, which people it's a
again,
very psychological
I
thing.
think this is something we still go through. Okay, and it's we've been in this almost now. Table's going to be 14 years old, and we take these advances, and people get very offended when we ask. They're like, "We're regulars. Do you not trust us?" And I'm like, "No, actually." It's just the thing of like you don't question these things when you travel abroad. and it's a new system. But I think what I will say is that you have to be a little thick-skinned, and you have to find that balance between being hospitable and compromising on your values, you know, because there's one thing which I've learned is that you can never please everybody. But it took me a while, honestly, it took me a while to understand that, because you like you said, it's your baby, it's you take it so personally that you're like, why would someone not love this as much as me? What am I doing wrong? But everyone is different, and you can never have 100% hit rate, right? And that's not an excuse of being defensive about things, but it's the reality of the ecosystem we operate in.
When you are working in a kitchen, heading a kitchen, it's like a horse with with blinders. You are only responsible for the kitchen, and then you are blinded out by what other aspects of the restaurant is, because
There are other
in
people to take
hotels and
care of that.
restaurants,
It's not
restaurants,
your responsibility.
everybody is simultaneously, different departments are working simultaneously, and they are working on their own fuel, and that is what contributes to a
That's the
restaurant
big
run.
change when you have your own
But
business.
when we step out and we started our own restaurant, and we figure out, oh my god, ये भी है, उधर से drain pipe लगाना है, this coat of paint color is not matching that color, and there were lots of things for us also to learn and experience and figure out. Every day we've been figuring out something or the other.
Still happening.
It's still happening, and I'm sure it will keep happening. That is,
Yeah.
I think that is what
So
the
it's the first
Constant.
time you guys are working together. What's that been like? Yes. Come on, spill the beans.
No, I mean, overall, it's been fine because we agree on, say, 98% things.
yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
about the 2%.
No, see, because we know what our end product is, what we want. Now, how we get to the end product, we might have our own different approach, different thought process, different thing. That is part of life, part of marriage, part of business. It's all there, na? What
Yeah.
is a marriage without a bit of quarrel?
Yeah, no.
And because we are opposites in a certain way, I never switch off, and she manages to
That's
switch
me.
off. She manages to switch off, so then she's also, kind of like that for me also. It's a bit calming. So,
Because once I'm home, I just want to watch some,
Mindless
I
rubbish.
want to watch some Modern Family and just like laugh and forget about it. I'll worry about it when I wake up tomorrow.
but
he's
I'll
like
just like constantly
going on and on and on in his head.
on. I'm just wired like that. So, for like that, it's really good, It's like a yin and a yang. So, I think
I can also like go on the other extreme where I might take it a little too easy when I shouldn't. And then
I feel you, girl.
I need to be told that, listen, this is you need to do this and you need to do this now. So it helps. It helps both ways, I say.
So yeah, the bosses that we work with in our careers have all been perfectionists. They've all been perfectionists, and that is why, we are also wired the way we are, and it helps.
It does. And I would say that, like, sometimes you have to find that balance a little bit, because you have to let go a little bit. Otherwise, you literally will kill yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not in a way where you're like becoming lazy, but just in a way where, this is a human business at the end of the day. You're not robots. Your team is not robots. And that's the reality of it. So, just again, coming back to this aspect of the business, right? You obviously didn't go off and do that MBA.
No.
So how did you guys, how is that, handling that part of it been for you? Is that also something you've learned on the job, or did your experience at, Comarin sort of, or anywhere else?
No, see, again, in Comarin, I was only responsible for the kitchen.
Kitchen, right?
Only kitchen. So, business-wise, this is our first experience, and it's not learned, it is learning. It's a continuous process. Every day we are learning something new. We've understood that, there are things that we know how to do. We know how to run a kitchen. What we don't know how to do, you outsource. So, actually, because we are a very small company, a very young company, very working within budgets company, a small budgets company, we have a lot of influence from our friends and family. So even from setting up the company, setting up the restaurants, doing it the branding, doing it the design, helping us with social media, helping us with a bit of PR. It's all been friends and family, like even putting up photos of, photos
I
on the
believe they're
wall.
your fathers.
Her
Your
father took
fathers, yeah.
photos, her neighbor took photos, and,
That's amazing.
her school friend did the branding. Her other school friend is helping us with, is working a day job and then helping us with PR. And, it's literally, when you're working with a small setup,
It's
with a
like the
small zing.
communities come
It's
together.
Yeah,
absolutely like that. Yeah.
What do they say? It takes a village to
Yeah.
Raise a child.
raise a child. It's like that. So that's literally what Karyapla is, and that is why I think why Karyapla is so important is because it's a fruit of a lot of people things that they are passionate about. That is what Karyapla is. People who are passionate about their own work in different fields and have contributed to their to this. This is the end product, and there's something that I'm very. I think we are very happy about. How we started, how we are running it, and now how we want to expand it.
So tell us what's next.
Yeah, so we want to obviously take Karyapla into a bigger space where we have a bigger kitchen, we can seat more number of people,
Yeah.
have a bigger sadhya,
Yes.
and yeah, and obviously we want to do a beverage program also because we know for sure that a glass of beer will complement our Kerala fried chicken, and yeah, just more happy memories. So that's something we are actually working on, and working on that now.
Well, may the real estate gods be with you and help you find this location because yeah, I think you're ready for bigger things and we can't wait for that. So, but yeah, like all the very best, and I can definitely see 2025 being the year for that. But listen, it's been so amazing having you guys on the show, and yeah, and thank you for being so candid and sharing this journey because I think this is something that a lot of people need to hear who think it's all fun and glamour and lots of good food. There is that, but that's a very small part
That's
of
only
yeah.
that's the only thing that's actually the case. I think.
Yeah. So thank you again, and
Thank you
really
for
wish you all the very, very best.
thank you so much. Thank you.